Told me that people thought that you made up your name.
Yeah, because they always make it Edwards or...
Edwards.
Edwards. If I say it on the phone, everybody thinks it's Edwards.
Bruce Outridge.
Yeah.
And they think you're saying Edwards.
Might be the slang. Might be the beer. Might be the slang.
Might be the beer. Might be the beer.
No,
but really, I just want to know things like why you left trucking. What made you want to get into Lead Pedal Podcast? Because it's kind of like a far stretch from the trucking industry. How did you come up with the name? What's your mission and goal with the Lead Pedal Podcast? And then, some of your favorite parts of what you do and kind of those reasons that get you up in the morning. Like, what's your passion with... It could be Lead Pedal Podcast. It could be something about your caricatures.
Okay.
And then the future of your podcast, and then what you think about the future of the trucking industry. So youth in trucking. And then we have a question in there about what are your listeners or people in the trucking industry saying about the upcoming legalization of cannabis.
Okay.
So a little bit all over the place, but mostly about you.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Fire away.
All right.
Or was that it? I'm just going to answer them all now?
Yeah, that's it. We're done. Cut.
Okay.
All right, so I'll just maybe do my YouTube intro, and then we can get going. Hey, I'm Kristen Gavea, and this is DCTV, Fitness for Duty experts in workplace medical testing and assessments. Welcome back to our channel, and if you're new, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sitting here with Bruce Outridge from Lead Pedal Podcast, and thank you so much for joining us
You're welcome.
today.
Thanks for having me on. This is awesome.
Yes, so we've been really just doing a full day of interviews. Bruce came here really to interview Jeremy Thiel, our sales and marketing manager. I swear I say that name probably 100 times a day.
Yeah.
So I really just wanted to sit down with Bruce as well to ask him some really hard-hitting, tough questions. We're going to get your brain going today.
There we go. This will be a short interview, folks.
Yes. All right, so let's start it off with... maybe give the viewers a little bit of a background of who you are and how you started.
How I started trucking, or how I started life?
So
because there's two different. Those are two longer.
How did you start out in life?
well, no. Okay, so it'll all go into each other, but basically, I started out because I'm an artist, an author. I used to drive. Now I'm podcasting, got a television show. So I started at 10 from drawing, but I had a real passion for driving at the age of 16. I was one of those guys who got their license the day of their birthday, and all of that stuff. No, okay. Well, I was, and at the age of 17, I was actually a high school dropout at the age of 17. And I fell into trucking. I didn't know anything about it. My family, they're a whole bunch of accountants, and I didn't know anything. My heritage is Guyanese. My parents are from Guyana in South America. I was born in Canada. So I didn't know anything about trucks. I didn't even know what they were. But my dad said, go get a job. If you're not going to school, go get a job. That was the rule, right? Mm-hmm. So I actually got a job at a moving company, Atlas Van Lines, one of their terminals. And I was this size in high school. So this size in high school is a good size to be carrying refrigerators and couches and stuff. And that's how I fell into the moving industry. I was just what they called a helper on the truck. And I would just unload the furniture and help people move. And then I noticed that the driver was getting paid a little more and carrying a little less, because they're in the truck working away. Mm-hmm. And so I got my D license, and then I started enjoying it. I moved around in the moving industry for a few years, got my tractor-trailer license, what we call my A license, and immediately went and became an owner-operator with another guy that I met.
Okay, so you started in the moving industry then.
Yeah, my first 7 years in the industry were in the moving industry.
Wow.
Bed buggers, as they call us. That's the slang for moving industry people, bed buggers, because you're moving the beds, right?
Awesome. So you started in the moving industry, and then tell me about that first time that you got in a truck. Like, what was that like?
I still remember it. It was with a guy named Ray. He was an owner-operator. He had a giant Kenworth. This thing, you felt like you had to climb 10 steps up to get to it. And I remember he was taking me, I was his assistant, so I was going to be his helper. I think he was going to Ottawa. So we were just going Toronto, Ottawa, which is not, and I had never been in the truck. And I remember what he said, make sure you bring sunglasses. And people today wear sunglasses all the time, but for me, that was not, my friends were not into sunglasses. I don't remember owning a pair of sunglasses till I was an adult. So I guess I must have had a pair because I brought it. And I remember, and if you've ever been to Ottawa and you leave Toronto at like 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, around the Trenton area, and anybody who drives will relate, you go to Trenton and you go over almost by Wooler Hill there. When you go over the top of that hill at 5 in the morning and the sun's coming up, it looks like you're driving into the sun. I was sleeping before then. Like when you don't have sunglasses and you're not used to driving at that time of day, and my son does it too. If we're going out that way, sleeping in the car in 5 minutes, right? And that's how I was in the passenger side. And I don't think I woke up until Ottawa. I missed half the trip. But
you didn't even need the sunglasses?
I didn't. I fell right asleep, and he was just laughing like, yeah, we could tell you're a new guy because you fell asleep right away. If you were driving, you would have been in a ditch, right?
Yeah.
And that was my first thing to be, but I just love the trucks. I love the freedom. I've always been one of those people who I don't want a boss looking over my shoulder. I like that independence, and that's what really attracted me to driving.
So really, when I'm thinking about getting you a gift, we should get you glasses.
Sunglasses might help. I have a few pairs. Now they got to be prescription, so yeah. But but that was my first experience in what we'll call a large Class 8 truck is what they're called. And before that, it was straight trucks and stuff. And even the one I learned to drive on was a little GMC gas tractor. So that was the real first diesel I'd ever really been in, and just really liked the independence. And I like driving. And the more I got into the industry, the people have been what's getting me there. So.
Yeah, so obviously that first moment, getting in a truck and experiencing it for the first time, was something that struck a chord with you.
Yep.
And how long did you stay in the trucking industry until you left?
25 years.
25 years.
Yeah.
So
I drove one.
Chunk of your life.
I don't consider myself as left because my podcast is on the trucking industry. I've just moved. I'm not driving. So I drove for 25 years. I still consider myself in the industry, and that's been like 35 years. So.
Right. Very cool.
Yeah, so it's fun. It's been a good age.
Yeah.